I think it's really cool when sketchbooks have their own theme. I really like when my sketchbooks are organized and cohesive. I usually do it with like comic projects or other things like that, but it's something I've always enjoyed. That's why almost all of my sketchbooks have been for projects. And I wanted to turn a few traditional sketchbooks that I created into a digital one that I can easily share with others. What I want to do with this project is make it a one-shot and a webcomic, and then work to make it a traditional comic with the full version. So, yeah, this is the project for me working on it. So stick around for it. So, for the background, I wanted to keep it simple. I wanted to have elements that foreshadowed major themes within the story, so I had the candles and the coral on both sides of the canvas. Tegan comes from a very notorious family. They're all well known in their own areas of their specialties, I'll say. She's similar to her family in that she uses fire magic. Not only that, but it's more of an athletic based. For example, she has like a cooling magma bat, and like she can summon these like rings of fire underneath her feet that are like rollerblades. In the world I've created, fully in my head, people are able to meditate with these like stones, these gemstones. And within these crystals sleeps this like spirit, I'll say. It's called a sage. And they're these like all-powerful creatures, these beings, and they can teach the humans or any being like magic and powers and like other strange abilities. I wanted to take a break with characters and practice designing 3D, or more like buildings, I guess, or props. So I started working on a village and other like prop ideas. Some creatures are based on a type of coral and a lot of sea life, because Tegan, our protagonist, will travel to the distant mountaintop called Mount Coral. It's based on the gemstone of coral. Well, I don't know if that's fully, it's like a fossilized thing. I'm counting it as like a crystal. Whatever. Hence the type of coral creatures that Tegan may encounter. Next up for the coral beast that we have is the familiar to the coral spirit. Each mountaintop has a crystal associated with the land. Like I mentioned earlier, Tegan is traveling to a mountaintop called Mount Coral. And each spirit / gemstone that resides on the mountaintop has their own familiar and their own creatures and monsters that they've made, but it's more of like their familiar is like a rideable beast. It's more of a dragon or a really big thing, something that like can carry them. So if you're a little lost, my apologies. It's just this world is kind of hard to explain in a simple crash course. I should probably make a random separate video, but we'll see if I make that rundown. Anyways, let me explain the layout of my world. Physically, it's a bunch of mountaintops, like I mentioned before. But in between the mountaintops are this sea of clouds. And each mountaintop is dedicated to a gemstone, and there's a spirit that all of the people that live in the mountaintop worship. And that spirit lives in the gemstone. It's all coming together. But anyways, these spirits are called sages. And these sages grew the mountaintops above the clouds below to shelter the people from the raging storm. There's a blanket of clouds covering the entire sky, like I mentioned before, with the mountaintops peeking out of them. Some have storms and other areas are more calm, but either way there's no opening to the land below. It's completely a cloud, like a blanket of clouds. There's a ceremony where the spirit of the mountain will crown the royal family. This is a way of choosing the rulers of the world. Each spirit of each mountain has their own rulers and their own way of ruling things. Here I'm depicting Royal Guardian Tess, which is a gender-neutral term for king of queen in this world. Either way, they're talking to one of Tegan's friends about where they grew up because they both came from the same mountain. One of my favorite creatures / monsters that I've created is the Thornadillo, and I also love his rider partner, Caspian. There are 3 members of the Daydreamer Riders, that's the name of them, and they all sit on the pouch and in this little gyro ball that the Thornadillo holds. And whenever the Thornadillo spins, the inside remains stable and level due to the gyroscoping of the wires and whatever it may be with the saddle. A map is very important for storytelling, or basically just writing in general. It's good to see the distance in which your characters have to travel, or especially being able to plot out physically where their goals happen and where they start. It's an interesting little thing to do. I definitely changed the name of these towns a lot. Waxlings are a subspecies of humans that are native to the mountaintop of Mount Amber. These are species that have been missing for many years, although a lot of the candle creatures have been found on other mountaintops and have been migrating. Specifically, a lot of them have been migrating to Mount Coral, where Tegan is traveling now. And also, coincidentally, she lives on Mount Amber at the start of the story. During her travels across Mount Coral, she falls off one of the cliff sides of Blush Cliffs. Luckily, she's saved by a fawn lamp, which is a type of wax creature that used to be a ride beast on the mountaintop of Amber. Their wax and remnants are scattered across the island of Mount Amber, as well as some small monsters that Tegan has found in her travels. Taking a break from making all of these wax creatures, I decided to make a coral monster. This is the Quickgek. Caspian is also traveling the Blush Cliffs, and he ends up fighting a Quickgek in his self-defense. See, Caspian believes in not fighting others or any creature until they harm him, or threaten him in any way. And at that point, he believes that he is all right and will not hold back. The Stump Dump. Personally, this is one of my favorite locations on Mount Coral. It's a small dive bar located in Dragonsnap Village. It is really good for getting information and finding out secrets about anything you want to know. People from all over the world gather there. Tegan personally meets Caspian and this other character named Poltergeist. Later, we find out that she's a Virtue, which is a type of angel that protects Smoky Quartz at the moment. what she's doing, neglecting her duties, is something we later find out. The three agree to a little game. Virtue, Poltergeist, Caspian, and Tegan all want the pin of Mount Coral that I mentioned before by the Virtue, probably around the second page or something like that. We'll get more into him in the next video. But they all have their different reasons for this. So they agree to this little game to race to receive the pin, so the loser has to pay their tab. So, now that you've been introduced to the three main characters, I think that's enough for one video. Let me know if you want me to continue sharing this sketchbook and produce another video. I really am interested in this project, and I hope you guys are as well. I will explain more of the story in the next video, starting with the beginning, where Tegan is on Mount Amber, and then probably end the next video when she gets to Mount Coral. But that's at least the length of what my one-shot would be, is from that time period. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It does do a long way, especially for a small artist like me. Have a good one, and thanks for watching.